Ecouia. I'm the creator and founder of Silky Saks, and I'm here today to talk to you about hiring influencers. I know that a lot of us have our businesses, and with the way things are going this year and more people shopping online, it's really important to hire influencers and people to work with you. So I decided to go ahead and put this video together for our Boss Up series. Now, if this is your first time joining me for our Boss Up series, I want to say welcome. Like I said before, my name is Ecouia. My business is Silky Saks, where I invented a bag to not just store your wigs, but to also add longevity to them. The link to our website and things will be down below. And I also have hired influencers for Silky Saks, so that's what qualifies me to talk about this a little bit. So I know that my Boss Up series videos tend to be a little bit on the longer side, but that's because I want to give you all the tea, okay? I want to give you all the details. I want to help you as much as I can. So just stick with me through it. I promise it is always worth it. So as I was saying earlier in the video, hiring an influencer is super important nowadays with everything being more digital and being online, especially future generations are looking more to influencers to talk about products and sell them products, and they trust them more than your average celebrity or actresses the way that things were done in the past. So hiring influencers, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not an easy thing. A lot of time it is hit and miss. I've had some great experiences hiring influencers and working with influencers, and I've had some not so great experiences hiring and working in influencers. So this is how I was able to accumulate all this information and come together to tell you this stories and, using my experience as hit and misses. So without further ado, go get that pen and pad and let's go ahead and let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do before you hire an influencer is you want to figure out what is your objective. Why are you hiring this influencer? What result are you looking for? Are you looking for more exposure for your brand? Are you looking for more sales for your brand? Are you looking to just build a relationship with this particular person? Whatever your reason is, and there's a ton of reasons why you could be hiring an influencer, you just want to make that very clear from the beginning, because that is how you're going to judge if you're going to work with this influencer again. Did they meet the objective? Did the result that you hired them for actually take place? Be very clear on your objective. Know exactly what it is, because there's things that you need to do on the back end to track to make sure that it was indeed a successful campaign and that you working with this particular influencer did actually help you get to the result. Next, you want to know what your budget is. Now, I work both sides of this field. I'm a business owner, so I know what it takes to run a business. I get that sometimes you're on a shoestring budget. You don't always have the money to pay top influencers and pay for everything. You do sometimes need to hopefully get some reviews and get some products in there for free, but I also do influencing, so I know that it is a lot of work and that the expectation should not always be just to get a free review or just to get something from free. It should also be, times when you do pay and certain influencers that you do, compensate them for the work that they do. So the thing about working with the influencer and this whole new thing with online is there's really not a lot of set rules yet. You really get what you negotiate. So have a budget in mind. Now, if you are just starting out a business, you may not have a lot of money, and there are influencers, mostly they're what we call a nano influencer, would be willing to maybe work with you and review your product for free. There are also people who just love this stuff for a hobby. They're not necessarily trying to make a business from it or make a living from doing their influencing. They just like receiving free products and talking about it. So you can also look for those influencers as well who are more hobby related. But whatever you're going for, you need to have a budget in mind, whether that's I can't really afford to pay someone or this is the most that I can afford to pay someone. You want to make sure you're reaching out to an influencer that would be about in that budget. If you only have $100, you're not going to reach out to a macro influencer, right? So you just want to be clear on how much it is that you can pay, and then you're probably going to get into a negotiation situation with said influencer once you reach out to them. And usually what happens is the influencer influencer has their set rate, their set price. You have your set rate as the business owner and your set price, and you guys usually negotiate and fall somewhere in between or somewhere in the middle. So you just want to be very clear on what is the most you're going to spend, so that when you begin to negotiate, you can negotiate at the lower rate and then negotiate to your top, and vice versa with the influencer. Now, if you're not sure about budgets and how much influencers make, I will put a link down in the bottom to clear.com. These rates are not set in stone, but they're kind of rates to kind of give you an idea of what influencers may or may not be charging. Some may charge more than this, some may charge less than this. You just have to do your research and reach out. The next thing you want to do is you want to do your influencer research. You got to get in there and start researching and finding who are influencers that talk to your target audience, that are working in your particular niche. So Silky Saks is a hair company. As I said, we don't actually sell hair, but we sell products that cater to hair, and specifically niching down into wigs. So when I looked for influencers, I specifically looked for people who review wigs, who talk about wigs, who talk about hair products, because that is a very particular and specific niche that my products speak to. So we are speaking to the same audience. So that's what I mean by finding your audience and making sure that this particular influencer is speaking to your audience. You wouldn't want to hire, someone who reviews technology equipment, even if they're popular, if you are in the beauty industry, right? Just make sure that you really look for a more niched influencer, in my opinion, especially in the beginning, because you're going to be talking to a very specific audience, and you want to make sure that this influencer is going to be talking to the people who would be interested in the things that you are selling. So how I found influencers in my niche is through Instagram. Instagram is great because Instagram has hashtags, right? So I looked under wig reviewers. I looked for wig life, wig lifestyle, small YouTuber, things like that are particular to my niche. And a lot of people who do reviews and who do YouTube channels will also post on their Instagram. So Instagram is a great place to start. Also, I already was into wigs, so I watched a lot of wig reviewers already, so I looked to that. But if you're starting out new or you're into a product that you're not sure who is doing or working in your industry, you really need to get yourself versed on that. And Instagram, I would suggest, would be the first place to start. And then YouTube, Google, put in wig reviews, put in makeup tutorials, put it in, and you're going to get a lot of things come up, and you're going to have to take your time and really look through it. So some things to look for when you are looking for a particular influencer to work with is you want to look at their engagement rate. If they're on YouTube, is there a lot of comments on their videos? Views are great too, but is their audience engaged? Is there a lot of comments? If they've done an Instagram post, is there a lot of comments on the Instagram post? Is there a like on the Instagram post? In their stories or reels, are they getting a lot of comments and views? That type of thing. You can look and see and kind of see in their followers, is there a lot of fishy looking accounts and spammy looking accounts following them? That means they may have bot followers, so you may want to look into that. Also, look into the aesthetic of their video. Is it clear? Can you hear the sound well? Is it of good quality? Is the lighting good? Did you like the editing? Did you like the way they spoke? Is it something to you that drew you to watch their material? Are they speaking the language that you would like to speak? Some people's brands are a little bit more riskier, so they may be okay with working with the influencer who may be using profanity in their videos. Some, maybe your brand doesn't like that. Maybe your brand is more squeaky clean. So just little things that you want to look at, making sure that the aesthetic, the quality is there. Is it worth paying them for? Would you feel comfortable if once you reach out to this person, paying them to do the work? Those are all the things that you want to be looking at before you go ahead and reach out to these influencers. So when you start looking for an influencer and you're ready to pitch, I would look for about 10 to 20 influencers. And the reason why you want to look for so many, especially if you are a new brand or if you're not as well known, is it's going to be a little bit harder to get someone to work with you in my opinion, when you are a smaller brand, right? There's a lot of people who will gladly jump on and review a brand once they're a little bit recognized and once they're a little bit known. But some people aren't as likely to work with brands that they've never heard of or never seen. But there is a lot of people who are willing to work with you and some people who love finding brands. So you're just going to have to do your homework. But I would definitely look for at least 10 to 20 influencers and then I would rate them. So what I did was I created group A, 1 through 10, and those were the influencers I pitched first. And those were the people that I really wanted to work with. And then I had group B, which was 11 through 20, and those were the ones that if the influencers in group A didn't respond or didn't want to work or didn't bite, then I would go to that second list. And that way you can keep track of who it is that you really want to develop a relationship with and who it is you really want to work with. And if those influencers don't say yes, they don't bite, or they don't do anything, then you have a plan B all ready to go, and then you don't have to go back in and start researching all over again. A lot of people, you guys, unfortunately are just not going to respond or just, aren't going to be willing to work with you. But you should be able to get at least 3 to 5 out of those sets of 10s who are interested in working with you or who are interested in maybe hearing what you have to say. So be prepared to get some no's, but also know that just keep going because somebody eventually will say yes. Now, once I'm ready to reach out to the influencer, I prefer, and I always do it through email. Now, I know some people do DMs, some people do work with DMs. I would just really look at the influencer's bio. What does it say? Usually influencers are very clear about how they like to be reached. Some will say DM me, some will say email, but mostly everyone has their email address. So you can do one of two things. If you want to DM the person, I definitely would let them know, hey, my name is so-and-so. I represent such and such brand. We would love to work with you. You can send them maybe the link to your product or your page and then let them know I'm going to be following up with you with an email. But I definitely do not just DM someone and do business through DMs. I like to do business through email. I think it's a little bit more professional. There's more of a time stamp. You can go back and forth. And from my experience, when you start working with more of the higher level, when you start getting into the macro influencers, and even the micro influencers, a lot of them prefer email. So I'm not saying you cannot DM because there's more than one way to do everything, but I am saying if you do DM them, you should always follow up with an email. What you want to pitch in the email is you just want to go ahead and introduce yourself, let them know maybe a little bit about your brand. You don't want to make it too long, but you definitely want to say enough to let them know who you are, what it is you do, you're a fan of their work, you like what they're doing, and you're interested in maybe having a conversation about them, reviewing your product. Now, once you send that email, you want to be really patient because, people live their lives. People, especially if they're a more popular influencer or have a lot of followers, etc., there's probably more than just one brand reaching out. So you want to be patient. I usually give the email about a week to get a response. If I don't get a response within the week, then I'll usually do a follow-up and just say, hey, this is Ecouia. I'm not sure if you got the email, but I just wanted to follow up and let you know that we are still very much interested in working with you with our products, blah, blah, blah. If you're interested, please reach back. Now, after seeing the second email, if I don't get a response, then I usually will move on. And that's why I was saying you want to have your 1 through 20 list. Then I'll usually, begin to start moving on. Most of the time, an influencer, if they're interested in working with you or your business, they're going to get back to you. So don't waste your time on doing 5 and 6 follow-ups. Get the hint, move on, because there is someone who will be working with you. And you do want an influencer, and you do want to, especially if you're hiring them, want to work with someone who is interested in working with your brand, because they're more than likely going to put their best foot forward and really do the work and give your brand the recognition or the shine that it needs. If you got to kind of be aggressive with asking them to do the work, then more than likely the work, may not be as great. So that's just a little tip and a little bit of experience. All right. When you are reaching out, like we said before, know your objective, know your budget, but you also want to know exactly what it is that you want them to do. Do you want them to do an Instagram post? Do you want them to do an Instagram reel, Instagram story, a YouTube video, a YouTube review? I would suggest that you do some form of video. It is 2020. We're soon going to be in 2021. And if you haven't noticed, video reigns supreme on social media. Every social media platform at this point can take video, and there's a reason for that. And so I would highly recommend, especially if you're going to be pay for some type of video, because video, people connect with you faster, people can see the products, and people just connect more with video. So get some kind of video done, and get the video that you can afford so that you can use that video later in the process to promote your brand, your product, whatever it is. Now, once you pitch that influencer, they're probably gonna either respond to you, they may respond automatically with their rate sheet letting you know what it is that they do. They may respond asking you for a little bit more of what it is. This is when it's your turn to be, very clear on what it is that you are, wanting and trying to do. So, you want to be clear. I'm looking to hire you to do a YouTube review of said product. I am willing to pay, and then you want to put that lower amount, right? Because you're going to negotiate. So, I'm willing to pay said amount for this video, blah, 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 and then allow them to respond. Now, they may say, oh yeah, I'm definitely willing to do it for this rate, or no, I need a higher rate. And that's when the negotiation process will happen. If you are on a shoestring budget and you don't really have the money to do that, then I would say that initially in my first pitch, I would say something, I would say that like, we are willing to send you, whatever product in exchange for a review. Now, I have had people review my products for free, and it was great, and they've done a good job. I've also had to pay in order to get product reviews. There is no rules. Like I was saying earlier, you get what you negotiate. So you just want to be really clear about that, and let the influencer know in those emails exactly what the expectation is and what the fees are going to be. You want to get all that clear. So once the agreement has been done, you've been through the emails and they've said, yes, I agree, I will do a YouTube unboxing of the Silky Sack for blah, blah, blah amount. You want to get that all in writing. You want to get a contract. And let me tell you now, like we were saying earlier, some people are in this game to get free products. And there's nothing wrong with getting free products. A sister like to get free products. But as a business owner, there is a cost to sending free products, right? Because it costs you to make said product. So if you're sending this product for free to this reviewer, in exchange, you want this reviewer to give you a video, some pictures, an Instagram post, something that you can then also use, right? So it's reciprocal. We're both getting something out of the deal. So I have experience sending people free products, people not following up, or people not meeting the terms of what we initially said we were going to do. And so this is why it is super important to send out a contract. People move different when contracts are on the table. Now, if you don't know where to get a contract, you can Google contracts. There is a ton of contracts out there. I am not a lawyer, but I do have a contract that I use. I did have someone, hire someone to look over it. Also, if you do influencing yourself, then you can look at maybe a contract that you have signed and look for, what it said. But you definitely don't want to send out any products, pay any money, or do anything else until that contract is filled. So what I usually do is after we've agreed to the set amount, I let them know, okay, here is the contract. Please read it over and sign it. Once it's read over and it's signed and you send it back to me, then I will go ahead and send out the product. But I can't stress enough how important it is to get a contract and get something in writing, because if people take your product and they don't do what they said they were going to do, then you're just out of a product. And this has happened many times. So at least with the contract, God forbid if it had to go to court or something like that, then usually, you know, then you can enforce, you know, we had made an agreement with this and you said per contract that you were going to do this. It gives people accountability. And when people are accountable, they usually move different. I know that I have signed contracts to do work for people and I usually honor it because I know that there's a contract that I am going to be upheld to if I don't honor it. So I can't stress enough how important it is to get a contract. Once the contract is signed, it's sent back to you, you're ready to go. Now, I have it set up in my Gmail. I have email 1, email 2, email 3, and they're already automated so that once the influencer has agreed, then I can just go in and send them that. It makes it so much easier, you guys. So I do recommend that you take and get, like, you know, your thank you response already prepared, your response already prepared in case, God forbid, they're not, you know, fulfilling the obligation. If you get all those contracts kind of already prepared, all those emails, excuse me, already prepared, then whatever scenario happens, then you can just go in and send out the proper email, you know, of course, change the name, dates, etc. But then you can just go ahead and send out the proper email to address whatever situation that you're going through with said influencer. So I like to send, once it's all signed, in my email that I send to you, letting you know that I've sent you out the products, I also, you know, again, very quickly just go over, you know, what the deliverables are, what I'm expecting. Here's the product, you know, please let me know, you know, when you received your product. If, you know, if you send in a tracking number, you know, send the tracking number. I also always thank them. And then you also want to remind them to follow the FTC and make sure that they are saying, whether it's free or paid, does not matter, that they are receiving this product on behalf of your company for doing a review, because it is illegal now to not disclose that information. And you just want to remind them that they definitely want to say that in the video and put that in the description of the video, or if they're doing it on Instagram, their ad or wherever, you know, I just always want to remind them that you always want to make sure that your business is being protected. Then you want to go in, like we were talking about earlier in the video, how do I know if this was successful with the influencers? So for instance, if your objective was to get a lot of sales from working with this influencer, then you definitely maybe want to give this influencer a code or a discount. Most of your web hosting, excuse me, platforms have ways that you can set up discounts. There's apps also that you can use if you don't know how to do that. But you want to definitely give said influencer maybe some kind of discount or something that people can use. And when people come to your website and purchase, then you know exactly this came from this influencer, so this video worked. If it's just about exposure, then maybe you want to see for that week or when that video came out, maybe you want to track and see how many views that you got, how much traffic in your analytics that you got from that. So you just want to make sure that you know what your objective is so that you can do whatever it is on the back end to track it so that you can know if it was worth working with that influencer, and then you can continue the relationship and work with them again. Once it's all said and done, hopefully your experience working with the influencer was beautiful. It was great. Hopefully you built a great relationship so that you can continue to work with said influencer. You want to go ahead and send out the thank you email to let them know the results of the campaign. This is what I, you know, got from working with you. I thank you so much. You know, just something to build a rapport and, you know, to build a good relationship, because it's hard to find, you know, good quality people, and you always want to have a good quality relationship. So that is my advice on hiring an influencer and how I would recommend you do it in 2020 and beyond. If you have any questions, or if there's something that I did not answer in the video that you would like to know, please put the questions down in the description box. I will do my best to answer it for you. I hope this video was good, and if this video was good, if you enjoyed it, if you've watched it this far, then drop the pen and the pencil and paper emoji down in the comments so that I know you watched it this far and that you enjoyed it. And we drop these videos at least once a month here on Silky Saks. So if you like this series or you like this video, please make sure that you subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you're watching over on Facebook. Thank you. Do the same there as well. And then check out our Boss Up playlist. We also have some great videos if you're an influencer watching this turning into a business owner, or if you're a business owner and you don't know about a lot about influencers. My last video in the Boss Up series was about how to create a media kit, and I also go into rate sheets. I think it would be helpful for you to watch it just to kind of know the expectation of working with the influencer and the mindset and seeing it on the other side. So again, like I said, thank you so much for watching. We drop videos here every Monday and Friday, so I hope you will join me again on Monday. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, better care is better way. Okay, let's get cute so we can tell you how to get an influencer to work with you. Yeah.